Hi everybody, welcome back to the C# Basic series and to episode 24 where we're on a new chapter. This book is so heavy. Chapter number 3. It's about classes. And that's what this first set of videos is going to be entirely focused on. So, to commemorate us finishing the second chapter, but the first chapter of the series, I'm going to create a new file, just sort of show how to create a new class. And that was fast. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit so that we can see. I go down to add, and then there's class right here. And I can just type in my class name. For the class name, my first class. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, let's add that guy. And we're importing a lot of stuff, so I'm going to just delete everything that's not system, just to sort of clean it up. And we don't have to have the namespace here, but I'm going to leave it. I think it's good practice, it looks like in C# to really keep things organized in namespaces, so that way, it's in the proper place and everything's sort of organized in its proper little divisions. So basically, there's a few things that you can do with classes, well, quite a bit, but there's some keywords that you can have before the class. Not going to get into what these mean right now, but you can use things like public or even private. And also other ones I've seen are partial. I do not know what this means, but I was at work today and I saw that keyword. I don't know what it means, but it might mean something. There's also abstract, which I don't know well enough to explain. And yeah, good enough. Basically, there's just multiple keywords and different types of classes. And we only have one class here, but there's something that we can do with this colon and then say another class, right? Actually, you know what we can do is say console.writeLine. Oh, console. So it's giving us an error that it can't derive from this console class, but this is what it would look like. So if you wanted to inherit from console, which I'm sure the book will get to later, you use this colon and then the class name. So we're going to go ahead and delete that, but I just want to show that you can do that. Also, classes can be generic, so you use these angled brackets, and I don't know the syntax behind this, but it's probably something like int x, type x. I have no idea how to do this, but those angled brackets mean like the class can use any sort of type. And they're sort of placeholder types. So that way you can use ints, doubles, all different things with the class. They're helpful. Those are way more advanced topics, but I sort of just want to introduce the idea of it. And basically everything that the class has will be in between these curly braces. So let's go ahead and start putting some stuff in here. So we're going to say a string name and then int age equals 19. I'm turning 20 this year. So these are called fields. I already got into this a little bit. And again, they can have some access modifiers, which are things like public. And so if we had this public and this private, this means that only my first class will be able to access private. But if someone else were to use our class, they could access age and modify it too. So we have these kind of access modifiers, but it also appears that there are things like the read-only keyword, which is weird. I've never seen this in a language before, but it means that basically this is a constant. It's just another way of writing constant. So once this is created, it can't be changed. Nothing can change it after this variable is created. So this would be important for, I don't know, say somebody has a bank account and, they have the account number and routing number. Like, you don't want those to change. So that would be an example of using read-only. And so we have already gone into this, but these are our fields. And then these are our methods, which are functions, depending on what language you come from. And we can say this is a function, so int max, say int n, and then I'm just going to do a single line here. Oh, wait, we need two numbers passed in. Int I'm going to use int x and int y, and then we're going to use the ternary operator here. So if x is greater than or equal to y, then we're going to return x, else we're going to return y. Okay, so this is a method. I did do a video on the ternary operator, but basically this is saying if x is going to be greater than or equal to y, then we're going to return x, else we're going to return y. And so this is a method, and we can add public in front of this, so that way if somebody were to use our class, they could actually access this max function. And another thing you can do with methods is something called overloading. So basically it's keeping the same method name but using different parameters. So if we wanted to have a max for double, we can do that just like this. Voila. So if somebody were to call our class, they wouldn't have to say, we could create like a max int method and then a max double method, but that's highly inefficient, bad coding practice, unmaintainable. So we want to actually do this. It's called method overloading. And this way, somebody calls max, they pass in either two ints or two doubles. They don't have to care to call max double or, you know, some sort of name like that. They just call max, pass in their parameters, and get the results back. So it helps keep the maintainability of code very high. The thing we can't do though, and we're going to see this become an error, you have to have different parameters that you're passing into this method. So even if we change this back to an int, let's say, you're still going to see an error here because it says my first class already defines a member called max with the same parameter types. So parameters have to be different. You can't just change the return type. They have to be different parameters in order for it to work. That's just something to keep in mind.